Welcome back to the Big Kountry YouTube channel. Today we're back working on the Cbr 1000RR. We got some more parts for it. You saw in the last video we got our baseline dyno pull. Okay, so we got basically at this point we got full titanium Van Diemen system, and we got a more Mafia ECU flash. Okay, just a bare base flash straight from him. Now we're going to start adding parts to it and actually tuning on this thing to get our power up there where we want it. So the first thing we got Brock's Performance sent us a Sprint air filter. This is the air filter that we run in all our Suzukis. Everything that we got on the street, Brock's Performance Sprint air filter, definitely the best way to go for that. And then we got something a little different. Factory Superbike sent over some variable stacks. So these stacks are actually going to be tuned with the bike. As the RPM increases, the stacks will actually move inside the air box to create the best airflow to make the most power at every RPM. Stacks are usually set up for certain either high end, low end, mid range, whatever. These stacks should do it all. We also are going to go ahead and switch over to a 520 chain conversion. We want to get our friction down on that rear end, less rotating mass. 520 chain conversion on the street, ultimate way to go. We got it in gold to match our accents on this Honda. It's going to be pretty sweet. Factory Superbike also hooked us up driven sprockets, front and rear, aluminum rear, steel front of course, and Driven also sent us titanium sprocket nuts for this thing. As we said, we got to get all of our rotating mass down as low as possible. The Cbr is kind of an underdog in the horsepower world, so what we have to count on is weight reduction. Lightweight and horsepower are the two things that you have to put together to make something fast. With the Honda, we're going to have less power, so we have to have less weight to make it. Guys, now that we got all that junk off there, we got to go to the scales to get the real results. Alright, so this old chain here, our old stock chain, which might have had as stiff as a freaking board too. Whoever had this thing did not lubricate the chain good. 4 pounds 12 ounces. Alright, 4 pounds 12 ounces, ugly, rusty, junk. New chain from Factory Superbike. Just 1 ounce over 4 pounds. So 12 ounces there off. So keep in mind your rotating mass is a huge deal. So if you can get 1 pound off of rotating mass, huge deal. I'm gonna look up, I always forget what the actual calculation is on that. I'm going to look it up, and before the end of this video, I'm going to have your answer on that. Here's your stock sprocket, stock steel sprocket, 1 pound 4 ounces. Check this out. New driven aluminum sprocket from Factory Superbike, only 8 ounces. Wow, that's sick. Definitely, I already put the front sprocket on, but I mean, it's smaller, it's definitely gonna weigh less. and it looks way cooler. And then while I was in there, I'm like, we gotta get rid of all this junk. This is your evap canister or whatever they call it. I don't know, Big Kountry calls it junk. Your chain guard, sprocket cover, evap cover. You don't need none of that junk no more. So while we're in there, we went ahead and took it off. Another 1 pound, 13 ounce, so almost 2 pounds right there. Junk, we don't need it. All right, look how much it cleaned it up, getting that stuff out of there. All this is clean now. You can see your engine up in there. You're gonna be able to see this pretty gold chain going all around through there. Obviously, the only reason you need this is to make sure you don't stick your fingers in there. If you need me or that cover to tell you not to stick your fingers in there near that chain, you don't need a motorcycle, my friend. So now all we're gonna do, we're gonna get this stuff cleaned up, get our chain fit up, get it put on there, make this thing our wheelbase as long as possible back here. And I mean, it's go time, boys. I gotta take this off too. That's ugly. It's probably more weight. Once again, I mean, don't put your foot in the chain. You guys, Honda, how they come up with this stuff, I don't know. But we're gonna get this stuff separated. We're gonna get it put on. This is gonna be sick. We got our new chain on there. We're gonna go around every single link and stud here has an O-ring in it. So we want to go around and cut every single one of these O-rings out. This might be the most tedious job ever, but it's gonna make this wheel roll so much smoother, so much easier. And yes, I know everybody in the comment, the chain's not gonna last as long with the O-rings in it. I'm not smarter than RK or EK or whoever makes the chains themselves. I know that. But this is faster and you just have to lube it a lot. It's actually gonna be faster for street racing and any kind of racing. No race chains have O-rings in them, so we gotta get the O-rings out of this one. So we got our air filters out, and you can see our stock air filter here. You just hold it up in the light. You're not seeing anything through it. These things are really restrictive, really protective for the engine. Swapping over to the Brock's Performance Sprint air filter, you can see how you can see light right through it. This is the race filter. This is gonna give us the most airflow, but also the least amount of protection. You can go with the street filter, and it'll protect and have a lot more, won't let as much trash through there. But this race filter is what we run on all of our bikes, and has always worked out perfect for us. It's going to give you the most horsepower and get that air flowing through this air box. Look at all the trash and everything in this thing in the air box. We got to get all that cleaned out before we install this filter. And then we're going to start trying to figure out how to put these stacks on there. Guys, so we got the stacks installed. Pretty simple setup, not gonna lie, that was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. All you have to do, simply bolt your stacks in. 100% pit perfect on this bike. They bolted right up just as they should. You have to drill a hole in the air box, run your wire down through there. It comes with a grommet to seal it back off. That runs into your wiring harness, and then all you have to do is unplug your number 1 injector, and then it has a jumper harness that plugs into it, and then you have to ground it. Other than that, then you have this little box, which I ran mine right back here under the seat. Simple as can be. I will make a note, if you have a CBR 1000, I would imagine they're all the same. It says this in the instructions. It took me a minute. I skipped over that part. It says on almost all motorcycles, the wiring is right for the injectors. The red wire must go to the power wire. Well, on a CBR 1000, particularly this one here, the wires are backwards. And it does say that in the instructions, so I did have to, after installing the whole thing, take it back apart, flip those wires around. On this CBR 1000, the yellow wire is your power wire. So you want to make sure that your red wire is going to the yellow wire. That is also kind of confusing because on the plug from the stacks is a red wire, which is your power wire, and the other wire is yellow. All right, so you would think yellow goes to yellow. That would make sense. No. Red goes to yellow on this Honda. Once I switch that, the thing starts up. It runs perfectly. We do still have a check engine light. This check engine light is for the map sensor. I'm still trying to get that figured out. Don't know what's going on with that. But you can see it says the blue light flashing with your RPM. Shows that it's operating correctly. So, unfortunately, they get their power from the fuel system, so there's no way to run like a dry cycle. I really wanted to do that because I thought that would be really cool for the views, but we can't do that because the motorcycle has to be running to show you the stacks actually moving. But in theory, what these stacks are going to do, and in theory, because we have not tried these out yet, this is a first time set for More Mafia and of course for me, but I believe they're pre-programmed to where as the RPM goes up, the stacks move to get you the optimal horsepower at that RPM. Pretty neat because a lot of stacks are made for either low range, mid range, or high range. These stacks should be all stacks in one. So it's going to be interesting to see once we get it on the dyno what these stacks actually do for this bike at all RPM ranges. I'm really excited to see, are these stacks worth the money? These are the most expensive stacks that you can get, but they should be 3 or 4 stacks all in one. And at the end of the day, what would you pay to have more horsepower than everybody else? This might be what you have to have. Alrighty, so now for the best part of the video. The part where I tell you how you can save some money by buying all these parts that we just put on. Go to factorysuperbike.com. use discount code BigKountry10, you can get those velocity stacks, you can get the chain, the sprockets, all those goodies, and save 10% just by typing in my code. And then of course, if you want the best air filter they make, you got to go to Brock's Performance and get that Sprint air filter. You can use discount code BigKountry5 there on everything on Brock's Performance website. So even if you're a Suzuki guy, go on there, get the best exhaust they make for a Suzuki. Brock's in the story. Save 5%, discount code BigKountry. But look at the Honda. I had to cut the video because this bodywork was such a headache to put on. Spent about 2 days getting her all put together, boys. But look at the finished product. You got the red, you got the white, and you got the blue, country style, with carbon fibre. I've really done it, guys. This thing looks nasty. I'm so happy with the way it turned out. We got to get it back on the dyno though and actually see how these stacks perform. The stacks, the air filter, the chain, we're gonna pick up some horsepowers, I just know it. But look, we've spent way too much time getting all this stuff ready. We're gonna put that in the next video. So y'all be sure to stay tuned. Check out my sponsors. Check out bigkountry.shop. You Honda guys, I got Honda merch on bigkountry.shop. You can go get that so you can be part of the Honda gang. But until next time, y'all keep it country.